Hello everyone, welcome to watch ZW3D training video series. Since this video we will introduce about drilling. There are 5 parts. First we will introduce about the drilling workflow, and then we will show you how to define the whole feature, and followed by the key parameter introduction about drilling, and show you the operation for drilling one by one. In the final part, we will show you about the whole tactics. In this small video, we will first introduce the first 2 parts, the workflow, and also how to define the whole feature. So let's check drilling workflow first. Generally, the workflow starts from spotting a hole and then do the drill and tap for the selected hole, and for precision request, we may need to use the reamer or borer to do the finishing work. Now let's check what is the workflow for the drilling operation. So the first step, we need to define the whole feature, and then we select the proper tool. After that, we need to set the parameters in the operation and then calculate the 2 paths. Here's a tip. We may need add the part as the feature, so I will explain you later. Now let's check how to define the whole feature. So there are 4 hole types we can define. We can define from a point, circle, cylinder, or hole. So you can find the definition for these 4 types. Create point in sketch or wireframe can be recognized as point, and the circle, curve, or circle edge. Include arc is the circle type we can recognize, and cylinder is the rotational surface including cylinder, chamfer in a circle edge. And the hole, we need to use ZW3D hole command to create the holes, or the import data, we need to use the flag hole to define the holes. Okay, so what we need to set, or we can set, for these 4 types. So for point, we need to set diameter, depth, and for circle, we need to define the depth. And for all these 4 types, we can set the cut order. By default, it is auto, okay? And also we can set the filters, as you can see from here. Like, for example, for the cylinder, we can define the cylinder type, open or close. And for hole, we can define the hole axis, right? So after this step, actually we can get the whole feature list. You can see from this window. So there are a lot of attributes here. So for the diameter and depth is the required input. And also there are some optional input, for example, for the countersink hole, and for the count bore hole, and also for the select hole. And we can make some modification on the start point. For example, we can define the whole start point for the 2D joint. Okay, and here we can tick this to create features for every hole in this list. So let's just check inside the software. In this part, there are a lot of holes, and we can just go to the template from here, or just from right click menu. Okay, so let's just check this. So we can find the whole feature from here, and there are 4 types: point, circle, cylinder, and hole. So cylinder and hole is for the part, and the point, circle is more for the 2D joint. So let's check cylinder first. Okay, so for example, we can just select this, and here there are a lot of filters here. We can filter the diameter, minimum, maximum diameter, in depth, taper, and also cylinder type. For example, we can just choose the open cylinders. So let's just check. So this to fillet surface has been selected, but actually this is not whole. So we can just go again and select all of this. So we can just select the closed cylinders to fill out the fillet surface. Let's just check here. After that, we get all this, and after that we can click this to create features for every hole in this list. So let's just check the result here. And the hole feature, let's check cut order. So let's just check cylinder and hole cut order. We can select this hole, and then the next hole, and the third hole, and the last hole. Okay, so we can just select the pick order and OK. So we can untick this to get the whole feature, and that's just the add one here operation and add a tool. I think this is okay, and then we can calculate. So you can find the order is not the select order, right? Actually, we need to set the order from here, pick order. So you can find the order. First this hole, and the second this hole, and the third hole, and the final hole. So this is about the cut order. And let's check the hole type. So we can select all of this, and you can find that this is the back hole. So if we want to fill out the holes, front hole or the back hole, so we can use the hole. And here we can set the hole axis, and then we can set, for example, we can use the Z axis. So it will just recognize the front hole. Okay. And if we define some circle or point here, actually we can also use the whole feature. We can use the circle or point, for example point. So we can define this hole, and we define the diameter, depth taper. Okay, and we can make some modification here, and we can open the 2D joint like this one. So we can just go to the cam plane. So how can we define this? Actually, for the whole feature, we select the circle, right, and select all of this, and we can set the angle to extrude this arc. Okay, and depth maybe 20. Okay, and also we can delete this and define here. For example, this is a contour ball, so we just the contour ball defined here and 5. So we have defined this. Of course, you can also make modification based here. We can add the thread information here. We can select the right information from here. Get this thread hole. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.